Hello again everyone, Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the ruler of the 5th house posited in the 8th house in a natal horoscope. Well people, as most of you know, the 5th house governs creativity, like the creative endeavors, romance, amusement, fun, enjoyment, um, sometimes, things that where we can be somewhat extravagant with, magnanimous. And then the 8th house is over like occult, astrology, things that are secretive or hidden, inheritances, legacies, other people's money and resources, and sex. So anyway, let me get started. One obvious interpretation in this is that the children and the things that impact the 5th house that are associated with, such as children, romance, creative endeavors, may very well be very secretive, and the person might be very, private, I guess you could say, and, inconspicuous regarding these matters. If the parents, are divorced or something, then, you know, and the husband, or the father or the wife looks for another, I guess you could say prospective sexual partner, children could figure prominently in this, perhaps. um, Children may also be strongly involved, I guess you could say, like, in inheritances. Maybe, somehow it's shared, amongst their children. Since, the 5th house is often, is considered like the, I guess you could say, since it corresponds with Leo, like the magnanimous house or generous house. The danger is there could be overindulgence in things regarding, matters related, you could say, possibly with sex, um, things that are, I guess you could say, matters that are, maybe connected with, even astrology or the cult. There might be something where maybe there's more emphasis that are put on these things, than what is possibly necessary. Um, as the 5th house is connected with romance, children, enjoyment, yeah, you know, these things, you could say, well, as far as romance goes, anyway, in the 8th house is sex. Romance and sex are somewhat very amalgamated and tied into one another, but even more so than the average person. If this person often will bring, a very strong, I guess you could say, romantic nature into their sexual relationships with others. Um, Another thing is that these people, 5th house is often connected, with hobbies and interests, and these people, some maybe derive, I guess you could say, enjoyment perhaps through the study of occult, astrological things, metaphysical majors. They might be interested in, like, I guess you could say, like hidden matters and things, like the Bermuda Triangle and, the Bigfoot, what I think is a hoax anyway, but you know what I'm saying. And there might be a lot of enjoyment that is connected with this. There might be, I guess you could say, a strong interest, not necessarily enjoyment, but there may be a lot of interest spent on, I guess you could say, taxes. This person, on the negative side, could be very foolhardy and daring in conjunction, with certain 8th house matters, such as, perhaps the sexual partner or partners in choice. Um, Perhaps this person might be risk-taking in general, since the 5th house, can be connected with things that are daring and audacious, and the 8th house is the house that governs sex. So, it's just be careful that, it's okay, to do things like, bungee cord jumping, or, doing things, jumping out of a plane, but always use your precautions, and, use your parachute, and, have your right, landing gear, etc., for some of these things. So, you know, obviously there might be extravagance connected with the sexual partner. There could be something where this person is maybe, more magnanimous than he or she needs to be in conjunction with this person, and spends a lot of money, on this person. This person may spend, money, a lot of money on things related to things that are connected with, occult or astrological things, things associated with death, like books that are pertaining to these subjects, perhaps. So, this is just something where, I think you look at, everything in moderation, including moderation, as the fifth house is connected with maybe sometimes going a little overboard on certain, on certain things. And in this case, it's things that would be associated with the eighth house. And also, it could be said that maybe, the romantic element or aspect of this person's life is in general, and how they go about things, I guess, in their love nature and romantic nature, can be, can be hidden, and this person could be very well be private regarding this. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the ruler of the fifth house, posited in the eighth house in the natal horoscope. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about the ruler of the fifth house in the ninth house in the natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel, but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.